All right.
Are we in the book this week today, or are we going to be outside?
No, Shir HaShirim is very, it's like we're taking off with a 787 here. So
I'm ready.
Okay. So I want to resume where we left off in the last shiur. We tapped into the concept of Shira, the definition of Shira. What does the Shira mean? And we quickly discussed the difference there is between Shir and Shira. And we explained, based on the Chachmei Asod, that when a masculine speaks, when a man speaks, he sings Shir. When it's a feminine, it's Shira. The obvious question is, why do we say then, Az Yashir Moshe u'Bnei Israel et Shira Hazot? Right? The Bnei Israel are singing the Shira, Shirat Hayam. Right? So the answer is because the Shirat Hayam is the Shira of the Knesset Israel. The Knesset Israel is compared to the wife of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So as an entity, the Knesset Israel is feminine. That's why it says, we say Shira. We also spoke in a few words, and I would like to dive into it a little bit more so that you understand this concept, because this is a very important vector in our understanding of Shir HaShirim. Va'et Hanan, okay, is 515. Okay? We know that Moshe Rabbeinu prayed 515 prayers to Hashem, begging him to enter Eretz Israel. The Chachmei Kabbalah says that 515 is also the Gematria Shira. Shin is 300, Resh is 200, Yud is 10, that's 510, He 5, that's 515. Va'et Hanan and is exactly the same Gematria, the same numerology of Shira. So the Chachmei Kabbalah asked this question: why is Va'et Hanan 515? It should be only 510. Shir, not Shira. And then the name or the wording of Va'et Hanan, I guess, would change to 510. Okay, whatever that word would have been. But the answer is that based on a dynamic that is fundamental. Okay, I'm sorry, Andy, I'm going to be repetitive a little bit. Okay. The entire work and purpose on this creation of Am Yisrael is to elevate the spark of the light of Hashem that fell at the time of the creation of the spiritual world to levels that are very, very, very low, from very high, from what we call the Olam HaAtzilut, the world of noblesse, the world where resides the throne of Hashem, spiritually, all the way down to the world of physicality. So as those sparks, as this light of Hashem fell, it was, depending on its kedusha, was retained or kept on falling. Our work, the purpose of all Am Yisrael, is to connect, to free those nitzotzot, those spark of kedusha that are hidden inside physical things. It could be anything, and allow that will of Hashem, that light of Hashem, to go back to its original state. Okay? When we trigger an elevation, a spiritual elevation, when we free a spark of Hashem of the light of Hashem that is stuck in the world of physicality, and we elevate it. It's called Mayin Nukvim, female waters. Okay? When we do that, we trigger abundance from Hashem to come down. Okay? It's almost like a midah keneged midah. I free, right? I free a part of Hashem. Midah keneged midah. Hashem blesses us with Himself, with His essence. You allow me to be, I will be with you. So you allow me to be is the work that we do to free the sparks that are stuck in physicality. I will be with you is the Hashem's abundance as a result of our work to allow Hashem to be. I will be with you is called male waters. You allow me to be is called female waters. If you want more detail, please refer to the fundamentals of Emunah. I love you all.
Good plug.
Okay? Explain that normally we should be, the question was on Moshe, he should be Shir, not Shira, because he is male, right? The answer they give is it depends on what you try to trigger. If you try to trigger, you allow me to be, right? Then it's female. And this is the system of tefillah. Pure tefillah is what? Pure tefillah is I allow Hashem to be through my prayers. And the reaction is, I am with you. Let me be with you. So the Chachmei HaKabbalah explain that the reason why Moshe Rabbeinu said, Va'et Hanan, he said a shira and not a shir, is because he wanted to trigger and uplift the entire creation in order for Hashem to do the tikkun of the entire world that would allow him to go into Eretz Israel. So he tried to fix all the nitzotzot. Okay? I'm being technical, but it's very important. Shlomo HaMelech chose a shir, not a shira. Which means that the work of Shlomo HaMelech is not a work that is to elevate, but it's a work that is to bring down abundance. What Shlomo HaMelech is doing in Shir HaShirim is not building us up, but bringing Hashem close to us. Okay? And it's very important to keep that in mind, that it's in Kohelet, he helped us build ourselves. Shir HaShirim is the reaction to Kohelet, which is the abundance to come down, Hashem to come down, close to us.
And how do you bring Hashem down? By eliciting certain characteristics? Like how do you do that?
So that's a reaction to the action. Depending on how good you are in Kohelet, Shir HaShirim will impact. The more your actions are pure, the more you're aligned with the truth, the more you have integrity in what you do, the more the beracha and the abundance will come down.
So let me ask you a question. We when it comes to Mishlei, is Mishlei a lifting or bringing Hashem down?
Mishle is a tool that allows you to understand. Okay, so there is a dynamic, right, of work. You elevate in order to bring down.
Mm-hmm.
How do you behave, and how do you interact, and how do you approach every situation is Mishle. So with Mishle, you have the ability to elevate in order to bring down.
So I'm curious, and maybe this is a little off track, but we chose to go to Shir HaShirim first, but wouldn't you think logically you would want to elevate as much as possible before you try and bring down?
Correct and not correct.
Okay.
If we jumped into Mishle, we would have been completely lost because you don't have a perspective of what you're trying to accomplish. You need to have the entire system in front of you in order to know what to do with it. Right? If I bring you a car and you don't know how to drive it, it could be the nicest, the fastest, the best, the most comfortable. You're not going to know how to turn it on. So we're learning about the car. We're showing you what there's a GPS and what the GPS does and okay? And then you can drive the car. Driving the car is Mishle. Understanding the car, all the functionalities of the car is Kohelet and Shir HaShirim.
Thank you.
So what the whole avodah that we're going to be doing is to bring down the love of Hashem. And I want to address inside the text two pirushim. One pirush is the Seforno because his wording is beautiful. He says, and like we said, based on all the pirushim, on the pirush of Rashi, the pirush of the Gaon, of the Seforno, of the Malbim, the entire purpose is to what? Is to heal a pain through love, with different nuances like we addressed it in last year. But it's to rebuild this connection. And the Malbim says he goes to a resolution that is almost Maimonidic, because the Malbim says the healing and the repair process between us and Hashem is not just on a national level, but on a personal and individual level. That's the zoom in of the Malbim. He says this is how you repair it within yourself, versus the rest of the Mefarshim that says that Shlomo HaMelech spoke more on a people level, on a community level, that everybody can learn and benefit from individually. Good? Okay. So I want to focus, because since the purpose is to build the ahava, the love, okay, we need to understand two things. Number one, we need to understand the pain, and we need to understand the definition of the love and the impact love has on pain. Three things: the pain, love, and the impact love has on pain. So it's two things, and how one influences the other. So to identify the pain, we addressed what Rashi says, that Shlomo HaMelech, through prophecy, saw the destruction of the temple and wrote a way to appease, wrote a way to alleviate the pain without going too much into it. He just states, what's happening. The Gaon Mivilna, I want to bring the Gaon before the Malbim, because the Malbim speaks about the Ahava, but the Gaon addresses better and conceptualizes better the pain. And he says, the Nimshal. What is Shlomo HaMelech coming to tell us? He says we're talking about Knesset Israel, okay, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this we know. We have a king that wanted to marry a lady. And all the kings around the world wanted to give their daughter to that king. The king did not want specifically to take the daughter of a king. Because, says the Gaon Mivina, the daughter of a king is high maintenance. She has her history, she has her prestige, she has her legacy. She can never really blend to become the wife of the king. She will always stay the daughter of a king. So the king knew that in order to have a wife, he needed a simple family. ולקח נערה אחת שפלה, משועבדת בין שאר שפחות. He decided to take a servant. The lowest of the lowest. בת טובים כולה זרע אמת. However, she came from good values and honesty. This was the definition of the girl he was looking for. A lady with good values, a woman that has good midot and that is honest. He didn't care about the pride, he didn't care about the power, he didn't care about the fact that she's a princess, he didn't care about her money, her father's power, the regions. The opposite. He wanted good midot, good values, and honesty, truth. And he found her. He found her. Where did he find her? In a place where power has no value, is not a commodity, where you don't, it's a big lesson in chinuch, a big lesson in chinuch, okay? Shlomo HaMelech understands that when there is power, you taint the values and you taint the honesty. Because now power becomes a way of communication, and when you have it, it's very hard not to use it. What's the point of being so powerful if you don't use your power? So, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is the king, okay, tells Shlomo HaMelech, went to look for her kala, to look for a wife in a place where those values and this integrity and honesty was protected. And he found it by servants, by people that serve. But people, what is servant? That doesn't mean a servant, somebody that abid that you're not. Chas v'shalom. A servant is somebody that has no ego and has the care and the ability to give. This is the definition of the princess, of the queen, of the wife. Somebody that knows how to trigger from her husband an elevation and ability for him to give, but not because of a strong mind or a demand, but because of honesty and good values. Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, Tizaharu mibnei aniyim shemehem tetzeh Torah. you should, and I think we spoke about it in Shir HaShirim, be careful of the kids of the poor, because that's where the Torah comes from. When somebody does not have a protection, a shield of power, then he is forced to be productive. He is forced to have to make it. If he doesn't make it, nobody will. He has nothing to lean on. So says the Gaon Mivilna, this is the definition. This is what the king wanted. This is the definition of Am Yisrael, Knesset Israel. A people that serves, a people that doesn't have ego, a people that doesn't have anything to lean on or to be protected with, except for the relationship we have with Hashem. And a people that is dedicated to the Emet, ultimately. Good? What happened? When all these kings saw that the king took such a lady, the kings and the princesses started being jealous and developed hate towards that princess. אך כל זמן שהייתה בבית המלך טובה, לא יכלו לעשות לה מאומה מכל מלכי ארץ. As long as she was under the protection of the king, nobody can do anything to her. She's fully protected. Because his power, the power of the king is respected. However, that lady, that princess, that queen, failed her husband, failed the king. She betrayed the king. And the king decided, Zanu harem, לא תטורו אחרי לבבכם ואחרי עיניכם אשר אתם זונים אחריהם. The word zenut, prostitution, in the Torah, the prostitution is when you shift from your focus and your dedication to your spouse and you go look for something else. It's when you deviate from the path of unity and harmony and dedication. So what did the king do? He sent her away. He sent her away. And she was alone. Now, what happened? All the kings, this is the day we've been waiting for. Now we can hurt. Now we can take advantage of the vulnerability of that queen. However, the king said, I'm sending you away from the kingdom, but I'm still taking care of you and protecting you. I'm looking after you. And one day I will bring you back. This is the situation that Shlomo HaMelech portrayed and put together in order to understand the pain. The pain that we are feeling is the pain of that Kala, of that queen, that went from nothing to everything to become now in between, which is the worst. If the king would have left her a servant, it's okay. She's a servant. She doesn't know better. Khalas, it's finished. He kept her, made her a queen and kept her a queen. Fantastic. But to make her a queen and then throw her, and now she's not a servant, but she's not a queen because she's not in the kingdom, is the biggest pain this queen can feel. She has nowhere to be. She has no protection, and she's just hoping that one day, for that day, for the king to bring her back. This is the definition of Tisha B'Av, and this is the feeling every one of us needs to feel when we think about HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the relationship we need to rebuild. That's, think about it on a personal level. We're men, so it's hard but imagine you're part of a business. You're part of a partnership, okay? And you're thrown out. Somebody took you from the street, you didn't have nothing, and he built you, he taught you the business, he taught you what to do, he gave you, made you CEO. And then he saw that, you misbehave, he said, okay, you're out of the business. You cannot come to the office anymore. You are not allowed to trade, to use my name, to use the name of the business, finished. Okay, but you know what? One day I'll bring you back. And now this guy is nothing. He doesn't have a bank account anymore. He doesn't have he's in the streets. What's his identity? Can he say he owns the business? He doesn't own the business. Is he part of the business? He's not part of the, can he do something else? If he goes something else, that means he's letting go of that business. This unknown, the Safek is Amalek. So you understand that the limbo is worse than if HaKadosh Baruch Hu would have cut the knot, cut the rope with us. This is what Shir HaShirim is coming to repair. This level of pain, this lack of identity and of security and of stability. Now comes the Seforno and says, and Shlomo HaMelech says, you know how we rebuild this? We rebuild it with love. With love. How do we rebuild it with love? So the Seforno explains. He says, Shir HaShirim is Kodesh Kodashim. Why? Because it's coming to appease, to soothe the heart of the people, especially the one that are mourning and depressed and broken because of the time and are desperate to be able to have a relationship with Hashem. So comes Shlomo HaMelech, according to based on this photo, and he's telling us, listen, you can only benefit from my book, Shir HaShirim, if you understand how painful it is to be far from Hashem. If you cannot feel the void, you cannot build the bond. So Shir HaShirim is a very, very difficult sefer. That's why I'm focusing, because this introduction puts perspective to the avodah and where it fits in our essence. We can only benefit from Shir HaShirim if we feel the pain. Okay. And now he explains how the ahava works.
This is the love, or this is the impact of love has on the pain?
I'm sorry?
What you're about to explain is number 2 or number 3?
It's both. We're going to understand through the definition of ahava, its impact. בידיעת פרשת גדולת איזה נמצא, מן הנמצאות שהוא גדול במעלה, תהיה לנו ידיעת טובו אשר בו מיטיב לזולתו. He says, first of all, when you understand the greatness of a person and how powerful, how wise, how special the person is, you can only then understand how beneficial a relationship with that person is. You cannot grasp the value of a relationship with someone until you actually understand how impactful and how powerful that person is. Correct? Simple math. What, Steven? Tell me.
But then you're expecting something in return.
No. Forget about expectations right now. We're not saying expectation. All we're saying is, in order for you to benefit from what a person offers you, you need to understand how great that person is. When somebody you don't know comes and gives you something, doesn't matter what it is, it has a value, right? But if you know that that person is even bigger, I'll give you an example. You walk in the street and somebody comes and says, Shabbat Shalom, may you have a beautiful Shabbat. Okay, thank you very much, Shabbat Shalom, have a beautiful, and you walk away, you don't know the guy. But if I come and I tell you, no, that was Eliyahu Navi, how are you gonna take that Shabbat Shalom, you have a beautiful Shabbat? It's a completely different Shabbat Shalom. Nachon? Very good. That's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point we're making. That's what the photo wants to say. Why?
But is it because you can benefit something from that person? Is that the reason why you change our mind?
It's not because of that. Because you understand the depth, the power of that Shabbat Shalom. Vadai that at the end, let's be clear. Vadai that at the end, every interaction is beneficial, or should be beneficial, or has benefits. But the way you value something, okay, will depend on how powerful the source you're getting that thing from is. With that, you can now appreciate even more the relationship. So says the Sefer, no? תהיה לנו ידיעת טובו, אשר בו מטיב לזולתו, יהיה אותו נמצא נאהב בהכרח, גם אם מי שלא ישפעו עליו חסדי אותו נמצא. He says, when you understand the greatness of that person, you will respect him, you will love him, even if he's not benefiting you directly.
Now, this is Sephorna? This is the Sephorna?
Yes. You hear about a great, great personality. You like him, you respect him, even if you don't, if he's not, he never gave you anything in particular directly. Why? Because you're in awe of his greatness, of his actions. If I give you an example, did you ever meet Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai or Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes? Did you ever meet the Ben Ish Chai? But we're in awe, we're in love of his Torah. If you learn his Torah, you're in awe, you're amazed. Shlomo HaMelech, we never met him. Did he give us anything? Did he give us jewels? Did he give us nothing, right? But we learn about him. We understand Shlomo HaMelech more. We're in awe, we're in love. It's amazing. Adam, you said it yourself. He was like my baby. Kohelet is like my baby. This is your relationship, right? Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Does reading Shlomo HaMelech, or when you talk about Shlomo HaMelech, are you going to talk the same way about Shlomo HaMelech that you would talk about Shlomo HaMelech before you learned Kohelet? Absolutely not. So the more you know, the more you bond, the more you respect, even if at the end of the day he didn't give you anything.
It's true. To us, we think Shlomo HaMelech is the greatest human that ever lived, and bar none, but we don't know enough people to compare.
But now you understand what that means. So says the Sefer, no? This develops love. And now it's no longer love and awe and respect based on what you get, going back to the expectation of Stephen, but from the greatness of the person. This is the love we are referring to in order to appease and cure the pain that we just spoke about.
Rav, just to clarify, so what he's basically saying is we need to learn more about Hashem in order to be in awe from him, in order to be able to receive his gifts properly.
Correct. Correct.
Now, can this be translated as a literal and on a human level?
What do you mean?
Human.
That's what we just said. That's what we just said.
Stanley just brought it back to between Hashem and us, which I was
this is the subject we're talking about. This is what Shlomo Amer is discussing. But for sure that same dynamic is applied between individuals. Where does the Sforno learns it from? From the individual interactions, from human interactions.
Adam, you never heard the best trick, how to get a girl to like you? You just share more with them. The more they learn about you, the more they like you.
You know, the only reason why I'm accepting this is because it's apropos Shir HaShirim.
It was when I was looking for a wife, not anymore, Rav.
No. So, now imagine, now take that, and with that love, okay, that already you have for the greatness of the person, you see that there's kindness behind that person, and he cares for you, and he gives you in such a quiet way, in such a humble way, in such a consistent way. So now the love is exponentially bigger. So if we come to identify and define the ahava, inyan ha'ahava, I will read the words of the Sforno. הוא שישמח האוהב על מעלת הנאהב ועל הישגו כל חפצו. Love is what? The definition of love is when the lover is happy to see the greatness of the one that's being loved. And to see that the being loved gets everything. So to love is to be happy for someone, for the greatness of someone, and to see that someone gets everything he needs, has everything he needs. This is the definition of love.
Can you repeat that one more time, Rav?
One time.
The definition of love is when the love is the happiness a person gets when he sees someone successful, elevated, and fulfilled with all his needs. That happiness.
Sorry, the last part one more time. I'm a little slow.
The fulfillment, where are you?
When the happiness of a person gets when he sees someone successful and fulfilled with all his needs.
Correct. His needs, is when a person, it's the happiness of seeing someone successful, accomplished, and fulfilled with all his needs. That happiness for that person or about that person is called ahava. It's called love. When you see your wife happy, when you love your wife, and when you're happy, when you see her fulfilled, when you see her accomplished, when you see her uplifted, when you see her at her best. If it makes you happy, It's called love. And what's the opposite? If you cannot be happy about someone's success, it's called
Hatred.
It's called sin'ah, it's called kina, it's called jealousy. Now, we understand ve'ahavta lereacha kamocha. You will love your friend like you love yourself. What does that mean? That you
Get
need
to
to
know
be
them more.
happy about the person's satisfaction and the person's accomplishments, the same way you are happy when you accomplish something.
And if you're not, get to know them more, and you'll develop the love.
That's the ABC, correct. If you get to understand them, to know them better, to be closer, that develops the ability to love.
So we learned in Kohelet though about staying away from certain kinds of people though, but you
Correct.
have ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. How does that intersection
Well,
work?
no, it's okay, very good. Not everybody you need to be close. Some people you have to learn from them by learning what not to do.
Right, but then you can't fulfill ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha with that person. Is that okay?
It depends. Sometimes you can. Sometimes lo alecha melecha ligmor. There's not every situation you are built and prepared to fight for.
Got it.
Tov. Okay. So with that love, and with this we will finish. With that love, when you use this love and you apply this happiness, okay? What does that happiness do? To a person that's in pain.
Heals him.
Cures him.
Bravo. Chazaku Baruch. Chazaku Baruch. So by developing the love, by developing the understanding of the person and being happy about that person, what do? By being happy about him, you feel you're satisfying yourself. You're curing yourself.
Rabbi, I think he's also talking, I think Shlomo HaMelech is also speaking about man and himself.
Yes, absolutely. Again, that's the Malbim. Again, you're 100% right. But what do we see from that? What does Sforno comes and tells us? That when you know about a person, when you know about Hashem, and you're in awe and you respect and you're happy for that person, the real one that's benefiting is you, because it heals your own pain. It fills the void that every one of us is carrying.
Renatenu.
Huh?
Renatenu.
Yes, in both, exactly. The same, Yashar and Afuch.
And he's way ahead of us.
Way.
No, this is my favorite, one of my favorites.
Venatenu, you have to say it, it's your
You
hadith.
say it, please. You say it.
Venatenu, if you write it, you can read it from both sides, and it means the same word, right?
Wow.
Venatenu is the same letters, straight or back. And when you give, it goes both ways, yeah? Whatever we think you gave, it actually came back to you.
It's a great charity. It's a great foundation name.
Yeah. Tov. Okay, tzaddikim.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, it's like
Thank you, Rob.
we're taking off.
Thank you, Rob.
Beautiful.
Great.
I love you. Shavua Tov.
Love you, Rob.
You won't take off.
Beautiful day.